Hey everybody, welcome back to State 48 Homeowner. We're excited today. We got Paul Stratton in here with Stratton Home Inspections. Scott Koyman here on my right, as always, and look forward to having some fun with kind of a scary topic, the home inspection. And it's scary in two ways. You know, the seller looks at it through one lens, and the buyer looks through it from another. I think Paul sometimes feels probably like a ref, like half the people aren't fans of yours, and half of them are. But the reality of it, it's a necessary thing. We think it's an extremely important thing. And today we just wanted to have a little fun get to see it through your lens. Like we always look at homeowner and buyer seller, but I've heard some stories. I've seen some pictures posted online, not just by yourself, but other home inspectors of just the crazy stuff we see in these Arizona homes. And I think today might be a little bit of fun just to maybe share some stories of, you know, what you've seen, or maybe some of the craziest repairs or workarounds you've seen to keep things moving, or, you know, whatever's out there that kind of at the end of the day makes you kind of look at your job and go, yep, I get to see some interesting stuff out here for sure.
And you're smiling, which tells me that you've got quite a few.
Oh yeah. I'm sure you guys have a few too. We're in the same industry, kind of. And
yeah.
And so we see a lot of different things and a lot of things people do. And it just, I'm always amazed, and I don't know why, because I think I've seen everything, and then I come across something and I'm like, wow. And so, this is going to be a fun topic.
I'm sure there's a lot of homeowners out there that think they're some of the better handyman in the world, and sometimes their repairs don't always maybe meet even the handyman standard.
I know my place. I have tools, but
yeah, and I know I've probably done a few of those janky repairs myself, but over time. But now you learn that how important it is and what the side effect of that could be. But today's just like some fun. Like, what are some crazy things that you've seen out there that we could share and just kind of make light of kind of a serious topic, but have a little fun with it.
Yeah. I've got so many of them. One that comes to mind just off the top of my head is I did an inspection about a year ago on a property. And I always inspect the outside first and work my way in. And then I get into the attic before I get on the roof, because I want to see what's in the attic before I step on that roof to make sure everything's structurally sound and what have you. So I get in the attic and I see this hole. It's about, 8 inches round, pretty big hole, but it's covered up with something. I can't tell what it is. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? What did they patch? And it doesn't look like shingles or underlayment over this hole. So I finish up my inspection in the attic. I get on the roof, and I'll be darned if there's a Motley Crue poster covering this hole. So that's how they patched this hole. They covered it with a Motley Crue poster.
Well, that's when they used to make posters the right way, though. They were thicker, they were durable. Now.
Yeah, it baffled me. I'm like, wow, what a interesting. But yeah, that's one of the stories, just some of the things we find that people do and trying to reper it themselves. It just doesn't
That thing's
work.
Probably a collector's item today,
too.
Yeah. I mean, Motley Crue, wow.
Yeah. 80s?
Was it a good album, though?
I don't remember the album. I just remember the band on there.
Yeah.
They must have stole it from their kid's bedroom or something and patched the roof that way. But that was an interesting find.
So was it working?
No, not really.
Okay, and not that we want to encourage people
over around that area in the attic, so I knew something wasn't repaired right.
Right.
And when I got up there, that's what I found. So pretty creative.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you can grab what you have available, but another reason why we do home inspections.
Right. You might want to bring in a professional at that point.
Yeah.
Another one, just real quick, is we're doing an inspection on a property, and I'd noticed inside the home the ceiling was bowing pretty bad. And it wasn't moisture. It looked like a blister, like a moisture blister, but it wasn't. It was hard and all that. So I got in the attic, and the air conditioning guys had cut out 8 bottom cords of trusses to get their air handler in that attic. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the roof was still intact.
The integrity of it, yeah.
But it was already starting to collapse, and bowing that drywall. An engineer had to come out and re-engineer it and
trusses
put stamps
and
on all 8 of those trusses. 8 of them. I mean, I've seen 1 or 2, but 8. It was crazy.
Yeah, we've seen all the split stuff where they just brace it with 2 blocks of wood on each side, like kind of the normal stuff. But yeah, and it happens, in resale and new. They just get in a hurry. It's got to fit, and there's something in the way, and we'll get it out of the way. So
they had their son-in-law or son put that AC unit in, and he cut every one of those things.
Another family deal, huh?
Right?
Oh, you don't need these.
Yeah, that's true. So. All right, what else? I know you've seen a lot of houses, you and your team. Anything else that, we're not naming any names today. We're just having a little fun with it. But anything else out there that you want to share?
Yeah, we were doing a home inspection maybe 3 or 4 months ago. It was on a flip. And this poor flipper, he actually did a pretty good job on the home. I just don't think he knew what he was getting on his contractor side of the plumbing areas, And so we're doing this inspection, and we're filling up the tub, and we drain it. It drains a little slow. Every one of those fixtures, it drains slow. So we stuck a sewer camera down the sewer line, and what had happened was whoever replaced his main sewer line going to the city main located in the alley. Mm-hmm. Well, instead of tying it into the city main, because anytime you tie into the city main, you have to have a permit from the city. Instead of doing that, they got a 5-gallon bucket, drilled holes in it, filled it full of gravel, and ran their sewer line into that bucket. So it was a makeshift 5-gallon septic tank.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there was a main sewer drain, but they
didn't stub it into the city main. They had abandoned the other one.
That's going to be found out at some point.
Oh, yeah.
After about 6 gallons.
And the poor flipper, he had to incur that cost. The buyer was ecstatic because we found it.
Right.
But the seller, he wasn't so happy.
Wow. Yeah, so when I was thinking about the craziest stuff you've seen, I was thinking more entertainment value, but not that this isn't entertainment to a degree, but the seriousness of the stuff that you do see out there that a lot of times, from, especially on a flip or on a house that's been remodeled, cosmetically they look great. Well, we don't do home inspections for the cosmetic stuff. We're looking for what is going to help this home operate to the way it's supposed to, safety, structural, mechanical, those type of things. And so to hear this stuff is interesting because it's not stuff you think about, but you don't want to be the one. So. Right.
And just to clarify, most of the time we don't find this abrasive stuff, most of the stuff's smaller items. Once in a while we come across this stuff. So
well, today was the interesting, fun stuff, the out of the ordinary, the not your normal home inspection. I've seen some pictures online, so I'll just see if you've come across it or not, maybe not, but anything with animals out there that you've seen, whether it's, rodents, reptiles, or we've had some crazy inspections that they found some interesting stuff, or anything monetarily. I had what personally happened on a property that we had bought and found a bag of money up in the attic and a lot of change and this kind of stuff. So it's interesting what's out there and where people maybe hide stuff sometimes. So.
People hide the craziest things in their attic. And I don't want to talk about some of the things I found, but I'll talk about some of the things I found. So, but I've found drugs up in the attic. It's just places they hide their stuff. I think in Apache Junction we have a lot of mobile homes, and underneath the crawl space, I crawled under there and there was a skunk, tail raised right up at me. He's ready to fire. And
that
so
stinks,
did you get out?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. And I let them know, hey, you need to remediate that, get that skunk out of there, and I'll get back under there. But if you don't mess with them, you're fine. But I wasn't taking the chance. I've been sprayed before, and I didn't want to get sprayed again. I've seen a lot of snake skins underneath those mobile homes, and so these are kind of those scary things we do. Is getting under a crawl space is kind of freaky. Because you don't know if you're black widows, scorpions, snakes, skunks, things like that.
Right. Yeah, we've had, like you hear these roof rats. I know Gold Canyon, for one, I know is where we had some. And they're not the big, scary ones, but enough of them get up in the attic. And that's where you see like those little weep holes along the side of the house where the little screens are gone sometimes, little holes, and they can climb in there. And those things will chew things that they're not supposed to, whether it's, wiring or just whatever, they can get after up there. And then, of course, leave their debris and things like that. So I've seen a few pictures of those that are, I'll say, petrified now or whatever they are when they're... but that was pretty crazy. I know we saw one, like basically a snake like coiled up in the AC unit. Just crazy things that you think the hazards of your job that you don't necessarily think about when you're out there. So
those roof rats are crazy. I see a lot of those, especially in the orchards, where there's citrus, trees overhanging your roof line, and they're climbing up the tree, jumping on the roof, and going down an attic vent or a roof stack, and so. Usually when we get in an attic, we know right away between droppings and tunnels in the insulation and sometimes chewed up wiring and other things. That's pretty common, especially in orchard areas where the house is in an orchard or there's trees overhanging the home.
Been surprised with any pets that you didn't know were there when you walked into a backyard or into a house?
Oh, yeah. I've never gotten bit by a dog yet, thank goodness. But there was this one home I did. It was vacant, and they had abandoned their dogs in the backyard.
Man. We saw that during the foreclosure days, man. It was awful.
It was sad. Between that and stolen AC units, right?
Yeah.
For the copper.
Yep.
And stripped wiring out of the attic, but that was back in the day. But I don't know how I ended up with the dog, but I ended up with the dog and ended up being a good dog. But yeah, I was starving to death and pretty sad.
Yeah. Where I was going with that is just, because we see it a lot with home inspectors request, questions, their pets, is the house vacant, all these things. And so I was just wondering if you ever had any incidents with the dogs or they're protecting their turf. I was a FedEx guy for 13 years, so I had my share of experiences, and there's one I'll never forget, and walking up to a house. It was like an acre property, and I'm halfway up to the front. It's got a little chain link fence, and get close to the front door, and in the shadow, there he's laying, and it was somewhere pit bull lookish dog, but whatever it was, I was like, what do I do? You gotta turn and run or face it. And I didn't know I had it in me, but I found my speed again, and so got out of there. But that was 2 decades ago. But anyway, just fun stuff that we see out there. Anything crazy like usually we kind of joke about duct tape, but any duct tape repairs or any we got the poster repair.
Yeah, but I've got a great duct tape story actually. So I'm doing this home, and duct tape and baling wires can fix anything, right? And electrical tape.
Yep.
So I usually move if there's a rug and it's a vacant home, or even a rug with an occupied home. I might remove the rug because you never know what's underneath it. And so I moved the rug out of the way, and pretty much the whole size of the rug had just barely covered this patch job, but the tile was broke completely under this rug, and it was all taped with duct tape back together. These pieces were all taped together, and I couldn't believe it. I have a file of just crazy inspection pictures, and that's one of it. And so
that's a good point on the rug. I remember I showed a property. It was a flip to a client, and the pictures looked great, and then we got in there and just saw that they clearly did all their own tile work. And it's just you look down the flooring, and it's plank tile in the great room, and it's just going back and forth. And so we did feedback and said, the client didn't like the tile work. And then we looked like 5 days later, the pictures online get updated, and you see that now there's a rug in there.
right.
And so he fixed the problem.
Right.
Covered up.
And we're including this beautiful rug in the sale.
Right.
And it's an IKEA rug. I mean, you don't have X-ray vision, so there's some stuff that you can't see. But what other things have they used to make repairs?
I've seen electrical tape, used to strap up a long run of sewer vent piping in the attic. Mm-hmm. I've seen stuff like that, which it was falling apart anyway because that only lasts for a day or two. So I think these were things they did just before we got there. There was a long sewer vent run, and it was sagging, and so they strapped it up with electrical tape. That's one of them. But a rug's in front of a fireplace. We'll always move those because if an ember falls out, a lot of times we'll find burn marks on their flooring.
Okay.
And so things like that we found. But it's interesting, some of the things we found. I just did an inspection not too long ago on a home in Phoenix, and it was a brand new home. And they hadn't shaded their sewer line properly, and a rock had crushed the sewer line. And that's another one that just backed up their sewer. Because the plumber didn't shade that line properly, so it backed up. Every time we ran a tub, it just backed up into the kitchen sink. So things like that.
Now, Kenny, you found a kid's toy or a ball in a sewer line?
Yeah, I found a ball. We did a sewer inspection, and there was actually a ball in there. I couldn't figure out. It was draining slow, the whole deal, and so we finally figured out, and nobody could figure out how it got in there, but I mean, obviously things happen, and you've got, clean outs to the house, you've got stuff that goes into the house, stuff that goes out of the house. Right. Yeah, because you'll see a lot of people, drain their pool sometimes into the street, which is frowned upon in I think just about every city. But you have these sewer clean outs in your front yard, and that's where they're supposed to go. And I got to assume either, because sometimes you see those caps cracked or missing, and stuff gets down in there, or somehow just into the main line. But
construction debris.
Construction debris would be a big one, especially if we're talking newer. So,
Have you ever had inspections on, like, years ago when we had a lot of the foreclosures and people were leaving negatively? Have you seen residuals of that haven't been cleaned up right?
Like you had mentioned, 2008, 9, and 10. You had things missing out of the house that people were taking. Entered a home that was vacant. Back in 2010, the attic access hatch was open, and I'm like, oh crap, somebody's in the attic. Back then you almost had to take somebody with you because you don't know who's in the house squatting or stealing or whatever. So sure enough, they had already left, but they had stripped all the electrical wiring out of that attic, copper, and turned it in for I don't know how many cents they got, but that's a lot of work, stripping that out.
Yeah. That was a big thing, unfortunately, back then, but. So inspection items out of the ordinary, anything else you can think of? I think we've kind of went through the gamut, but I know animals and those have always been interesting to us when we get that picture and you're like, oh my gosh, but some of the repairs we've seen too, I think was interesting. So to share a few of those, especially duct tape has its purpose, but not necessarily to repair something safety, structural, mechanical.
And I know the homeowners, they mean well, but.
Yeah. We did an inspection just not too long ago on a home that was as an old home, 1940s, and they had put an extra bathroom in, and the fiberglass surround wall where they had put the bathroom, there was a fuse box, electrical fuse box, not breaker panel, but a fuse box. Oh, yeah. So that fuse box was literally right in the shower. So if you wanted to get rid of your spouse or whatever, just have them change the fuse while they're taking a shower.
Hey, while you're in there, can you fix this real quick? So, the old fuse boxes, that dates the house for sure. Yeah, we've seen some interesting stuff on that and workarounds on that. Right. And it's, a lot of times I think it's just usually people trying to avoid, the permitting and things like that because of the time and the hassle that it can be. But once you understand it and figure it out, it adds value because we see a lot with, I'm sure you've seen some crazy add-ons to houses that, they didn't quite do the way that maybe a contractor would have, and not permitted, which, causes us quite a bit of problems too on our end because it either doesn't count in the livable square foot or, it's not built to grade. And so, it's a covered patio enclosed, which those things can be done. They just have to be done correctly. Sometimes they don't duct it in or the AC isn't sized for it. So there's a lot of...
Or insulated.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that we don't think about that are compounding effects to these changes that, that's what you guys are there for, is to, kind of see it from a neutral lens and just look at it and say, okay, what else could possibly, based on my experiences, be wrong with this? Right. And then if it is something like, okay, we need to get further investigated, then we take that step and refer our clients to someone else who specializes in that field. So, well, good stuff. Can
we have you back?
What's that?
Will you come back for another time?
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, this has been fun.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna open up the home inspection can of worms here, I think, as we move forward, hopefully with you, and spend some more time just kind of going over some of these things because it's an evolving thing. I mean, obviously homes are changing, aging. You've got new homes with newer technologies and just built differently, which is some of the things we're going to have a foundation guy come in just kind of talk about post-tension versus non, because people don't necessarily understand it. Not all of them have a little symbol in there. So much going on at the houses that we just we felt like there was so much data to get out to clients, but we want to make sure what is relevant to them at that moment, that they have a go-to place. And that's the goal of these podcasts, to have these individuals of specific things that they can just re-listen to and go, okay, what did they say about that? Or why was that important again? Because look, we all got our businesses, our jobs, things we're focused on. And our goal as professionals and teaming up with professionals is to provide, that experience to our clients, where we try to see the blind spots and at least, point them in the direction of good quality people. And then that's the reason you're here. And we know you guys' work and your team, and we certainly appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Kenny. Glad to be here with you and Scott. And look forward to coming back.
Well, man, I'm sure we're going to have